Okay. Hey guys, this is Tammy Van Hollander, and I could not be more excited. I have my special genie lamp here because during this time of crisis as a play therapist, my two mentors who have the most words of wisdom, if I could have anybody on this video, it would be Eliana Gil and Dr. David Crenshaw, because you guys have been my mentors, and I thought, what a great way to have you guys on. And I am so grateful to just hear some of your perspectives taking and just your feelings about this pandemic that we are going through right now.
Okay, well, thank you, Tammy, for inviting us. It's so great to be connected, even by technology, to you and Eliana again. It seems like a very long time, and perhaps it's going to be a long time still before we can get together in large groups. So thank you for doing this, thinking of this and putting it all together. One thing I would say in my long career, where I've been called on in many kinds of crisis situations, school tragedies, school shootings, terrible things that sometimes happen to people. The one thing that children lack is the ability to take perspective. So they rely on adults for that. They rely on us for that, because their limited life experience just simply doesn't allow them to put it into context. So we know that at some point this pandemic will end, and that people slowly will get back to their normal lives, or as close as they can to what was normal before this terrible virus. But kids don't know that. And so they need to hear that from us. We can't say exactly when it's going to be, but eventually kids will go back to school, parents will go back to work, people will no longer be getting sick at the rate that they've been getting sick lately. And we will get through this. Together, we will get through this. I think they need to hear that, because it's a very scary time, not just for kids, but I know a lot of my adult friends are in a panic and very anxious as well, because of the uncertainty, because nobody can really tell us exactly when we're going to peak and when we're going to start to see a diminishing rate of illness and deaths around the world. So that's one thing I would emphasize. And I think the natural healing powers of play really help us in a situation like this, because when we engage children in playful activities, it helps to allay their anxiety. It helps them to feel closer to and more bonded with the people that they're attached to. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful set of skills that play therapists can bring to this scary situation. So I don't know a whole lot, so I'm gonna give up the rest of my time to the person who really knows what the deal is, Dr. Eliana Gil.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
And I'm just going to say that I am at this moment in time, as you all know, semi-retired. So I'm mostly consulting with people. I'm not actually doing interviews with kids online. So what I am going to share is stuff I've been hearing from people and the concerns that they have. But in particular, I think emphasizing for children that many things stay the same and that some things are changing, but other things, again, are kind of constant. And I think that one of those things is therapy, and that we're providing for them kind of a continuity of care. And it's in a different kind of arena, as it were. And so we are still very much capable of connecting with kids online. I think some people are hesitating about that, but honestly, I've had really positive connections with people online. I've been doing some groups online, and it's amazing to me how much we can really kind of work in tandem and laugh with each other and come up with interesting ideas. I think that this anxiety that sometimes people have about going online is understandable. And at the same time, this is a great opportunity to co-create something with children, to be exploratory with them, to come online and say, wow, this is really a little bit different. I wonder what we're going to do with this time together. I wonder what's going to happen between us and what we'll kind of co-create here that'll be just for you and me. And the other part of it is that it's an opportunity to maybe see the kids in the context of their families, to invite some of the family members in, to try to make something happen that's novel for them. And I think anytime you're doing or offering novelty, that it's a little bit exciting for children and it's a little bit engaging, definitely. And we always associate novelty with plasticity in the brain. So I think that the receptivity might actually increase for a period of time with children, because this is their familiar kind of platform. They're very used to doing this. I think for those of us who are older, it's a little bit less familiar. But I'll tell you, just in the last month or so, just interacting with people online, I'm learning all kinds of really interesting things. Like there's a virtual background you can put on behind you. So we've been talking about boundaries a lot, and therapists are wondering about kids seeing their environments, and the virtual background is really a great thing to do. That just drop it there, and it's available on Zoom and many platforms. But these are all decisions we have to make. So my best kind of advice would be to just prepare ahead of time, to kind of think ahead of time about all the different ways that you can approach this with a positive attitude. And then to do some of the work, for example, asking the parents to fill a basket with some toys and some household things, so that you can do a play therapy session and there's going to be some level of continuity in the objects that are there. And it's also an opportunity to ask parents, for example, to create some of these objects with their children. For example, during the week, go outside and pick some rocks and different things and bring them in. And of course, now you have to sterilize everything. But once they're cleaned and dried, that maybe there can be some painting of the rocks, or maybe there can be a sand tray made just with rocks. And so there's lots of different opportunities to think outside the box and not to feel limited by the things that kids don't have. Rather, invite the things they do have present with them. In addition, I think the issue of boundaries, about, making sure the room is safe. So maybe having the parent come with you for a few minutes and go through the room and make sure there's nothing the child can hurt himself with. And then to anticipate, what if the child falls off the bed, for example, or climbs on their dresser to show you, with their cape that they can fly, and then blam, they're on the floor. You might want to, ahead of time, make sure you have the text number for the parent and tell them, I'd like you to be around. So if I need you to go into the room for whatever reason, you'll respond to me. So this is kind of that preparation ahead of time that's important. And I'm also encouraging people to get online with friends and family and just, try this stuff out, try the different activities out with kids in your life, maybe nephews and nieces and neighbors' children who are also a little bit bored, and just say, hey, I have an art activity I'd like to try with you, and then just see what you can do. So the thinking outside of the box is real important, and not feeling so confined, and also just exploring, because this is, what is the Chinese graphic for crisis is danger and opportunity. And
Mhm.
I am so impressed, Tammy, with you, with Paris, with Lynn Louise Wonders, Jen. I mean, there's so many people who are just, boy, their creative juices are just like spilling over. And so if anybody wants to do play therapy, there's so many resources. I love the way we are all just kind of, I don't know, just contributing and giving of ourselves. And I think that makes a huge difference. The spirit is there. The
Mhm.
opportunity is there. And now it's just a question of imagination, creativity, play, and bringing yourself to the table. So it's not always just about what you're going to do, it's that you're going to be with. And that's a, you have a relationship with these kids already established. I think meeting kids online, that's a little challenging, because that's kind of like, if you don't have a relationship already, building one online is kind of interesting. But then you would eventually go back to the play therapy office, and that would be interesting. So those transitions will be kind of unique, to see how they develop. So anyway, I said a lot, but those are the things that have been coming up, and that people have asked about and commented about. And so it's just kind of getting the lay of the land of where the obstacles might be. So, and helping. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think, that the idea of us really trusting the process, and it's not our creativity, it's the kids' creativity. So I can have all these different ideas, and through all the teleplay therapy sessions I've done, they've shot it down and they've done it. I mean, we've done client-centered play. They are on the floor, they are in the dollhouses, they are doing just what they need to do, and I am there with them, and it's just going through their own toys and their own space. So this idea
Absolutely.
that we can't do client-centered play and that we can't trust the process and follow their lead is so untrue. And I think that's, although I'm doing all these different creative interventions, I often talk about creative interventions, but then when I'm there with the child, I'm just following their lead, and like that's where the healing is. And they're so creative. I mean, they come up with different ideas every day. So knowing that the creativity that children have, that bring to it, and that's part of the healing and part of their process.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys. David, do you want to end with anything else?
Well, I was just going to say that obviously, if you got a child who has those resources, and so many of them do, to lead the play and be guided by their inner compass, you don't really have to do any kind of structuring. But for a child who does need structure, I think one thing at a time like this that can be helpful to focus on is asking them to maybe pick a symbol um, from, if they have some figurines available, um, to represent somebody who helps them feel safe.
Mhm.
Because obviously safety is a major concern for people. So that would be one thing to focus on. I love um, James Garbarino, who's not a therapist, but he's an incredibly brilliant man who's written a lot about child abuse and social influences on abuse and trauma. He has a concept called circle of caring. So I love to use that in a clinical way and just have kids draw a huge circle and then either write the names or draw a picture of the people inside the circle who they know cares about them. And you could do it the other way too. And in that circle of caring, they could write or draw the people that they care about. So you're really emphasizing caring, connection, attachment at a time when that needs to be highlighted.
Beautiful, beautiful. I want to thank you guys so much. This means the world to me, and I know it's going to mean so much to all of us just to see your faces. Ah, love, hear your
You
words.
needed love. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
I apologize, my
I'm
makeup
sending love.
artist,
My love isn't very good. There we go. David, where's your heart?
There you go.
David.
I apologize that my makeup artist didn't get here in time. So I just had to go with the natural look.
Oh, well, you guys are awesome. And thank you for all the work you do and the thousands and thousands and thousands of us that you have mentored and led our way and have inspired us and continue to inspire us every day. So thank
Aw,
you guys
thank
so
you. Thank you so much.
Tammy,
much.
you're
Okay.
great.
Thanks.